Alright, so I'm quite excited about my 814 run, and since I put so much time into making this spreadsheet, I thought it would be interesting to share it, and hopefully someone else is interested enough to take to heart the time saves I found here, which include quite a numerous amount of things, but also some places where I didn't save time. So I'm going to go through my video here, and on the right you can see I've divided the run into 68 different sections, which I timed and compared my run here in orange, Groove's 8:17 and Midori's 8:18. I would have done more comparisons with other people who do great runs, but it was very time consuming to do this manually, so here we are. And the last column here is the time loss that my 814 had compared to the best of Groove's and Midori's runs, which in total adds up to another 6 seconds over the course of the run, which you can save time in. So I just wanted to go over a few minute details here throughout the run. It's quite interesting. Like, for example, first we have loading times, which are fairly consistent, I think, but also varied to an extent. A cutscene skip, we always skip cutscenes very quickly. And in the first section here, the check-in text box, which is up until this point, you can see that I, for some reason, lost 0.3 seconds, because apparently walking straight is very hard, and I don't exactly know how that happened. But carrying on, we're gonna check in and skip these, and here we wait for Polterpuppet to spawn, and here there's a small time save to be had right here, where you run this corner and then you go straight down to the left side of the bed, so the trigger is on the whole of the bed and not really near Puppy as you might think, and that gives me a, where are we here, Puppy text box, a 0.1 second time save compared to Groove and Midori. But after that you have this section coming up, where if you look at my exit bedroom sequence, I'm saving 0.2 seconds compared to Groove and 0.3 seconds compared to Midori. And that's because the diagonal that you walk here, it's a lot more steep than you might think, because depth perception is hard. And then specifically turning this corner at the chair, you need to do very narrow, so Midori and Groove rounded out this a bit more, which lost a significant amount of time. And then here, let me go back. So right here, you don't want to press X the instant that you can press X, because you want to walk up to right there and press X there, so that Luigi doesn't do the auto walk up to the scene transition point. So scene transition point, I mean the point at which the scene transitions into the next scene, or the door is open if there's a door. Well, you can press X quite a time before that, but if you do, you're going to initiate the slow walking to the scene transition point, which you don't want to do. So here you want to do an extra step so that you get directly to the black screen, which indicates the cutscene. And you skip there, and here, the next significant time save here, when I enter Mario room, and I'm saving 0.6 seconds compared to Groove and 0.5 seconds compared to Midori, and that's because this part here. Whoop, let me go back. So here, knocking this luggage over actually doesn't slow you down, and you can, that in turn give you a lot more narrow angle here that you can walk in, saving you a surprising amount of time, because you have to walk a shorter distance to the door. And turns out that's about half a second. So you enter the door, and here the scene transition point is just right there, so you don't do any steps up to the door. Now here's an interesting time save that you don't see in my run. Exit Mario Room, I have the same, approximately the same speed as Groove and Midori. I managed to get a 0.1, but there's another few hundredths of a second to be saved here, because you can see as he exits the room, for some reason in this room, the X icon that indicates that you can do the scene transition takes about a second to spawn for some reason, and that makes it very hard to find the exact spot you want to stand in, which is the scene transition point. So instead you sort of walk up to the door and then you stumble around, and it's hard to get into that spot. But it's several hundreds of seconds to save, hundreds of a second to save here if you do that. But it's sort of random if you get it. Yeah, this is all good. Now you can see here, after this elevator opens, you're gonna walk to the right, and I'm saving 0.2 seconds here. Because when you stand here, you want to go directly right. That's a 90-degree angle. So if you just walk normally, you're gonna have to do a turning animation without any forward momentum. But if you hold B to strafe, you can avoid doing that, and that saves you 0.2 seconds. So this strafing when turning thing is going to become a prevalent method of time save in this run, and should be applied everywhere in the game really, which some of you already know and do apply, which is great. So I'm not really teaching people anything new. Now this cutscene, the intro load is long, it's 35 seconds, and you can see here for Groove in his pretty cool 8:17 run, he had a 0.7 second time save here, which you can see for some reason he had incredibly fast loads, while Midori had pretty slow loads throughout the whole run, and still got a good time. So here's the laundry, and the laundry is particular because you can Luigi can't run yet, and it turns out that his strafing speed is the same as his walking speed, which is boring in itself. But as I just mentioned, when you do 90-degree turns or wider turns, you want to strafe to avoid doing turning animations without having any forward momentum. And in the laundry particularly, you have numerous points in which you do quite broad turns, so it turns out that it's at least for me easy to just hold B continuously, and particularly if you're gonna skip the next one. Okay, so that you start here, you're facing the screen, and you're gonna do a turn up here. So what I do is I hold B from the start to have the turn, to have the strafe from the start. Oops, that didn't work out well. So you start up a strafing backwards, which saves you time, and then you run this corner, and you don't need to hold B there, but I continue to hold B because here I want to do turn around so that I can be scared backwards from the towels. And here you want to have an angle so you get scared in this direction, which is sort of hard to get. You see how I sort of bonked the towels here. But if you do it wrong, you're gonna get scared down this direction instead. So there's a tight window. And then I bonked that wall there, but I continue to hold B. Here it's not as needed, but here you can see if I didn't hold B, I would have to have a slight turning animation there, and the same thing over here. So all in all, compared to Midouri's run, I'm saving 0.3 seconds, and compared to Groove's run, I'm saving well over a second. So Midouri is doing the holding B to turn at every point except in the beginning in his run, which is 0.3 seconds lost there for him. The hallway coming up is pretty boring. You walk down there and you hit the scene transition point, which is quite more further ahead than you might think, because Luigi opens his door with his left hand. And here I hold B here to turn quicker to this direction. It doesn't save that much time. What does save more time is walking in a perfect diagonal here, which is harder than you might think. So you can see here, Groove actually does this better, saving 0.1 seconds. And here is the notorious car load scene, which can take anywhere, which may or may not save you a second, or lose you a second depending on your seeming luck. But I have some things that I think is useful about this. So what I think is happening, right, is that this is not actually a load scene. You see how this car is being possessed by Polterpuppy, and what I think is happening is that it's waiting for Polterpuppy's animation to finish, just as sometimes when you transition through rooms, you have to wait for Polterpuppy to jump through the walls. You have to wait for his animation to finish. And it's the same thing in first time you spawn in Luigi's room, you have to wait for Polterpuppy to come up through the bed. So he's still doing, so what I think is happening is that Polterpuppy is in here doing some sort of animation that we are not seeing or hearing. And if you start the car too early or too late, you will have to wait for that to sort of finish, and then you can load the cutscene. And the reason I think this is the case is if you stand at the car waiting without waiting for a second and then press X, then you get an instant cutscene. Or if you wait 3 seconds, you're gonna have to wait another 2 seconds for the cutscene again, because Polterpuppy continues to do his bonk bonk and then the bark if you don't press X on the car. So if you can find a way to manipulate Polterpuppy's animation when we are in this room, then we can get a consistently fast loading screen there. But until then, it's still sort of random if it happens. Of course, the tutorial here, you hold A and then you burst 3 times here to avoid the celebration, and then you start sucking Polterpuppy. And let's see if I can go back. And here you want to do a burst again. It does save time if you time. This is a tighter window, saves less time, but it does save time. So you burst up there, and then you blow him, and right about there is when I burst again, and then here you do a second burst to trigger that, and then a third burst to skip the celebration. And all in all, you can see here on the tutorial I'm saving 1 second over Midori and 0.7 seconds over groove. So even so, and they do most of these things that I just did. It's just that the second one after the sucking before the blowing does take more time than you might think if you do that. Rightio. Let me exit the garage, and this scene transition point is right. I did it too early here. You sort of want to be in this spot over here to hit that point perfectly. So I do lose time there. So you can see how I lost 0.2 seconds here. Now in this situation, enter the stairs, I'm saving 0.5 seconds over groove and 0.7 seconds over Midori. And that's because in what I do is slightly different. So most runners, they stand over here and flash the door, and then they walk over to the door to go to the scene transition point. But you want to conserve your running speed here, your running momentum, all the way up to the door and then flash rather than walking up to the door. So bam. So that's what's happening. And that saves you half a second. And then you wanna, and then Luigi, he turns around and you're gonna do a 90-degree turn here, so you wanna hold B and go right, and then release B and enter the door, the scene transition point. Right, like so. Right, and here, going up the stairs apparently is harder than you might think, because I consistently lost about half a second here compared to Groove and Midori, until I actually checked my timings and I realized that I did 2 wide turns in the stairs and I lost a lot of time here. And then over here, the scene transition point is quite hard to hit because there's a blockage here from the lamp, so you can't hug the wall, so you have to do an angle and then turn in at the last second to hit him. But I managed to get him here. So, and here I lose time because I missed the flash before Luigi got scared, and that cost me 0.2 seconds. And these lag frames that you see here, impossible to get rid of. I've tried a lot of things. There's a time saving there if you can find a way to not get them. So next strat is something I've talked about before. For example, but here I save 0.6 seconds compared to Midori and 0.5 seconds compared to Groove. And what I do is that I don't grab and smash the ghosts instantly. Instead, I drag them up to the counter, where I will burst the counter preemptively. You can't burst the counter before the ghosts are dead, but you can kill them and burst them before you trigger the celebration. Like so, and you can see how that went up. So you're losing some time here because you have to drag them up slowly, but you have to go this direction anyway, so you don't lose that much time. And you get 2 bonus things here. You spawn Polterpuppy instantly, and you don't have to wait for the counter to be burst, so you're saving a few fractions of a second. Not quite as much as I thought, because I'm bad at killing ghosts quickly, but you do save time. And then you go here and you hope for the key animation that is the best. There's 4 key animations. Here you see I got the second best key animation, and you can look over here that that's 0.5 seconds slower than the best key animation, which is in Groove's and Midori's runs. Then I walk up the stairs, and walking upstairs is hard. I consistently get bad times here, and I lost 0.3 seconds. Go here, go up here, cutscene escape, exit portrait room. And here you can see we have to wait for Polter Puppy before we can go through the transition. And then we enter the key room, which Midori got a 0.2 second quicker. And here, get key. Room. Yep. Do that. And here I do it slightly differently. So normally you're placed up into to the front of the rug, but you can go further back, which places you closer to the door. But you don't want to go too far back. Really. But you can see the key lands here, and it has so much forward momentum it's faster than Luigi's walking speed. So about here you can go maybe a little bit further back, and that will save you time. And then we get the fast key animation, which is that one when it drags it up from the side. And then we enter the hallway through the scene transition point optimally, and we kill these ghosts. I can't speak English properly. And we're pretty much on point here, all three of us. Do that, bash the three of them, and then we go to the key door. So here, he does the celebration, which you can't skip because you don't have the plunger, so you're facing downwards, which means you're doing a United return here. So you start this by holding B, and then you go left. And then this was actually something I saw from Midouri when he did a run, and I got that from him. So kudos to him. And then you enter this string transition point. You don't have to go all the way up, you can go to where I did it, skip this cutscene, and then we get to the next RNG element. So here Luigi's gonna get scared from Polter Puppy coming out from here. And here we got the scare where he tilts backwards a bit. And it's another scare animation where he jumps up and lands directly. And that scare is about 0.4 seconds quicker. And this is a slow scare, so we actually lost time here. So there's a 0.4 second, over here, 0.4 second, 0.4 seconds to gain, which is Midori got in his run. So that's the third RNG element in this run. The first two keys, now the scared animation. Not counting loading RNG, which is I don't want to think about. Then you do this, and you can sort of walk backwards and do this thing. It doesn't actually save time because we reach the door so quickly that we have to wait for Polter Puppy anyway. But doing it is better, because if you mess up the placement of Luigi here so that he takes time to walk up to the scene transition point, you might lose time because that's so slow. So I do it anyway. So you have to wait. Alright. And then you walk out, you do the diagonal down to the portrait room. So, and here we are, and you can see here I'm losing a crazy amount of time because I brain farted and didn't press minus to skip that cutscene in time, so I lost half a second. And you can see here again we have Luigi facing right, and we want to do a diagonal down, so we hold B for a fraction of a second to start going immediately. And here you can see the scene transition point being here, optimally placed. You walk out here, and you want to see about a 152 on the clock, 150, I forgot, a low 150 something on the clock, and then you're on a good pace. Yeah, and the lobby. Here, press the button. I'm losing 0.7 seconds here because I am. I'll show you in a second. So let's see. So you saw that. Oh, hold on. So So here again, a position where you want to do a 90-degree turn, you hold B to do a quick turn, like so. Walk the diagonals. And here you want to burst the trash can in such an angle that it is smashed and reveals coins before you land. And I don't actually know if you can get it consistent. Maybe you can. But what happens is if you get this smashed before you land, EGAD will trigger his "oh, I'm seeing coins" text box before you land, which you can then cancel earlier and then press the elevator button. And that turns out to save 0.7 seconds, which is a huge amount of time. So, and here we leave EGAD behind because we don't like him. And that's about it, really. We're gonna do the Steward kill here, and all thanks to Groove for guiding me through his strat so I could get him consistent. But you run up and you flash in as soon as you can. Drag him down to just about the yellow marker here, maybe slightly below. And then you smash him down 5 times. Do a burst. The burst is important. And then you grab him again over here at the yellow, well, the bright spot. And then you do 3 smashes up top, 1 to the top left and 1 down right. And that places you in the spot here. And here you can do this a little bit quicker to save another 0.4 seconds. And that's the Steward one. And this came to be because I was doing Steward run, got about 9 minutes, and saw Groove's 8:17 and thought, how the hell is he saving over 40 seconds on this? I can't see it. So I decided to find out how he did it. And in the course of this, I found a few time saves that I saw no one else use, and decided, well, I'm gonna get better than 17, and got a 14. But with all this time loss I did, there's still a lot of time to be saved. You have to press the button. 0.7, you can actually skip the cutscene, saves you another 0.5, get the good scared animation, get another 0.4, so that puts us at 1.6. You can get the best key animation here, and then we are at 2 seconds already. We're not gonna get a better intro load. So an 8:12 is super easy to get, relatively speaking. And that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed my spreadsheet.